Hey, brand builder, Rory Vaden here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this interview. As always, it's our honor to provide it to you for free. And wanted to let you know there's no big sales pitch or anything coming at the end. However, if you are someone who is looking to build and monetize your personal brand, we would love to talk to you and get to know you a little bit and hear about some of your dreams and visions and share with you a little bit about what we're up to see if we might be a fit. So if you're interested in a free strategy call with someone from our team, we would love to hear from you. You can do that at brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall, brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall. We hope to talk to you soon. Well, my man, Mike Michalowicz, is one of my favorite thinkers on entrepreneurship. You probably have heard of his book, Profit First. He's the best-selling author of that book. It's got thousands of reviews on Amazon. It's very popular among the entire entrepreneurship community. He also has written several other books, Clockwork, Fix This Next. And he's got a new book coming out September of 2021. It's called Get Different, which is what we're going to talk about. But by age 35, Mike had founded and sold two different companies, one to private equity, another to Fortune 500. He's a former small business columnist for the Wall Street Journal. He was a makeover specialist on MSNBC. And, he travels the world speaking to entrepreneurs. He is a speaker. He's on stages. We've met each other, gotten to know each other a little bit over the years. And I just think he is one of the most influential thinkers and thought leaders in the space of entrepreneurship. So Mike Michalowicz, welcome to the show, man.
Michalowicz is in the house. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Get Different is this is the newest. You've got a nice building brand, like a very consistent just body of work that you have done, which I love. So what's Get Different? Why the need for this book?
Yeah.
Why now?
So what I want to do is boil down what the essence of effective marketing is. And the reason is most small businesses are highly ineffective at marketing. Actually, that's the whole reason your business exists is because so many people, we can't do it on our own. But what's interesting is, this is kind of pre-COVID with all the traveling that's going on. It's starting to come back, but nothing like it was in 2019.
Yeah.
Is that when I go to events, I just ask people by show of hands, like an informal survey, what is your number one source of lead generation, marketing, cash, lead flow? And I would say, raise your hand if this is the number one source, word of mouth. And like 90% of the hands go up. Like the whole survey is done with the first question. And I realized that most businesses are dependent upon their clients to do the marketing for them. It's a blessing if your client wants to refer you business. It shows that they trust in your service. They think of you to a high enough degree to refer you. Wow. But at the same point, that means you're at the whim of the customer to market for you. And so I said, well, what's the consequence to this? And consistently, it's these pendulum swings of too much opportunity for me to handle, and therefore we stop doing service effectively, or we fumble the sales process and we actually disappoint people even in marketing and sales before they do business with us. And then the flip-flop side is no opportunity. We're panicked. We have to start cutting costs. And it's this kind of maniacal bipolar existence for business. So I wrote Get Different. I spent 10 years working on this in the research phases, extrapolating knowledge and stuff, but really in the last 3 years, actively writing the formula and testing it and then writing the book. And what it boils down to is, we have responsibility to market. Like you, we, the listeners, if we have a offering that is of service to our clients, if our offering is better than the alternatives they're considering, competition, doing it themselves, if what we offer is better, we have a responsibility to market. Because if they don't discover us, that's going to be the client's problem, but it's admittedly our fault for not exposing our brand. So the first component is like, wow, people are afraid to market because we think it's invasive. Right. And the reframing is you must market because it's the only way to be of service. Then I go through the elements of effective marketing. And there's these three key elements that if you miss any single one, your marketing is going to fumble. So that's what the book's about.
I love it. So maybe we'll dance into some of those three things. But the first thing is just going, word of mouth isn't predictable. It's not scalable. It's
Right.
not controllable. There's not a button that you can push or a lever that you can pull that says, bring me more clients.
Right.
And if you don't have that, like if you don't have that one button or that one lever, I feel that's a pretty freaking scary place to operate. And you're saying you think that, you think most businesses, like the massive majority, the large majority, most, some, all, like just kind of like, how many people you think are living in that world?
Yeah. So I'll give you the shocking observation. I'll back with numbers. So the massive majority are highly ineffective at marketing, meaning they're not doing any marketing whatsoever. Besides getting a referral from a customer, which is not marketing in the first place. It's just customers referring us out. Now, here's the data that backs it. Over 98% of businesses are defined as small business in the US. So it's only the very few that the mega corporations, the names we recognize, the Amazons and the Facebooks of the world are truly the exception. And of those 98% of small businesses, 90% of them or thereabouts are micro enterprise, meaning they do less than $1 million in revenue. So your company is, Rory, is the exception to most businesses. Most businesses are a handful of people, and the marketing is a kind of a shotgun or pot shot approach, reactionary. So we don't have enough leads. Oh my gosh, why aren't clients referring us? We better do some marketing. Hey, I heard someone ran Facebook ads in our industry and had great results. Just start running Facebook ads. So we go in ill-prepared, not understanding what the marketing is or how it works. And then when it fails to succeed, we're like, oh, Facebook sucks. No, we didn't even understand the basic principles of how it functions. But more importantly, we didn't even know the basic functions of effective marketing. So it's this very kind of knee-jerk reaction, which is no marketing at all. And sadly, that's just the majority of business.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, not only is the business vulnerable, the certainly the revenue is vulnerable for the owner, but even the viability of that business. And so the job security of those people inside the business is that feels pretty vulnerable. So what should small businesses be doing? Okay. So if they don't want to do that, or in addition, let's say in addition to that, right? Because you're not saying word of mouth is bad. You're not saying referrals are bad.
I think it's wonderful, but it's icing on the cake, right?
Yeah. Like, what should we be doing if we're not doing that?
Yeah. So if client referral is the icing, we need to be in a deliberate process. That's the cake. And what we first need to do, and we talked about this to some degree already, is see that marketing is not a burden. It's not to the client or prospect you're targeting. It's not offensive. Marketing will either be ignored because it's irrelevant or not seen. In fact, most cases it's just not even seen. And then we've all been there. Like I need, I'm so hungry. I need something to eat right now. Oh gosh. And I'm driving down the highway going back to visit my alma mater. Thank God for those marketing signs that say, restaurant or diner this way. And that's marketing because it's satisfying a need I have. If those signs didn't exist, I wouldn't find the restaurants. I wouldn't know where they are. Thank God for GPSs. Maybe I can find it that way. So marketing satisfies a need. And so we have to realize that marketing is a necessity, a responsibility that we also have because it serves clients. But then to market effectively, we have to go into these three elements that I explain in the book. The first one is, the acronym is called DAD, D-A-D. And the first one stands for differentiate. Marketing doesn't get noticed when it's the same as everyone else's. So you have to do something that is unique for your target audience. So for example, if my community of readers all get emails from other authors all saying, read my next book, well, my message gets blurred into that. So I have to find a way to differentiate to get noticed. And why is this so important is the human mind is wired to ignore what we expect and already qualified as irrelevant. A classic example is, hey friend. The first time I got hey friend email, Rory, I was like, who is this friend? Like, it's probably 5-6 years ago. I'm like, hey friend. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a friend call me friend. Like, which friend is this friendly friend? Like I totally went down that path. And as I was reading it, then I'm like, oh, this is not a real friend. This is a marketing message that's totally not applicable to me. Well, the next hey friend that came in a day or a week later, I was like, hey friend, last time was a marketing message. Should I read this? This one's a marketing message. The third one, everyone since, the tens of thousands that got sent to me or hundreds, I don't know what it is. I've never looked at one again because it's habituated. Habituation is where our mind is designed to inefficiently ignore stuff that is irrelevant. And if you market in a common method that everyone else uses, you're deemed irrelevant because it's already known to be irrelevant. So stage one is do something different. And don't confuse different with outrageous. I'm not saying you got to wear a Bozo the Clown costume with those big floppy shoes and, waka waka lapel and tell people to do business with you. That will get noticed, but it may not pass some other tests. Just what is uncommon in your industry. Maybe you can take something from another industry, introduce it to your clients, and that'll be enough to awaken them. It's like if you and I were outside in your yard behind you there and something squiggled on the ground, if it's unexpected, we will take notice of it because we have to qualify it as a threat or opportunity.
Yeah, this is kind of the concept of a pattern interrupt.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. So our mind, there's a thing called the reticular formation. There's a thing called reticular activating system that some people are familiar with, but reticular formation is this neural web that sits with the brainstem. Its job is to ignore 99.999, it goes on for a long time, % of the stimulus around us. And right now, Rory, if you look around the desk you're at, I look around mine, there's stuff that could just draw our attention and go on for hours and hours. I just picked up this blue pen. I could look at this and say, why blue? First of all, who invented the word blue? Blue. Why does that rhyme with two? And who invented the word? And, it just goes on and on. Like it could just be endless consideration. But our minds are wired to ignore all this stimulus so that we can pay attention and gain value, hopefully, out of the dialogue we're having. So differentiate breaks the pattern and it works. But here's the deal. It works for 1/10 of a second. So I call this the blink test. Like if you do a deliberate blink now as fast as you can, like your fastest blink ever, that's still slower than how much consideration we put into something. Meaning at a subconscious level, our mind can evaluate, is something worth considering further or can it be flushed out in less than 1/10 of a second? So differentiate gives you this 1/10 of a second window that gets you to the next part of our brain, which is the prefrontal cortex where conscious thought happens. And in this part of our brain, the mind then says, okay, this got prioritized as something to consider, that squiggly snake in the grass. Now I'm looking down at it. I'm consciously considering this. Is this a snake? Did someone turn the hose on? It's kind of flapping around. What is this? Our brain is looking for three things: threat, opportunity, or ignorable. If it's a threat, we'll go into fight or flight or freeze. There's other things, but we'll basically combat it. So you don't want your marketing to be a threat. I could send you a mailing piece and say, direct mail works so effectively when you put white powder in it. Everyone pays attention. Yes, everyone pays attention to the white powder coming out of the envelope, but it is a threat. I will go to jail. You will call 911. You will never want to receive or open that email, that message I sent. The next thing we go through is this an opportunity. So that's why I say,
by the way, on this one. So, like people always, I was always confused because I heard people say stuff like the first thing that people look at when you meet them is your hands. And so, I heard someone say like, oh, that's a reason why you should have, get manicures or like take. And then I learned later that it's like, no, they're not inspecting your hands. Like, are they lotioned? They're looking to see if you're carrying a weapon. Yeah. Like that's what when people say that, that's what they mean is your brain is instantly calculating like, is there a threat? But even that, if it's almost like, even a threat would be better than being ignorable. Like to be like, you don't, if you're doing the same marketing as everyone else, you don't even get that consideration. Like you don't even make it to level 2 without the pattern interrupt.
That's correct. A threat though causes problems down the marketing chain. Yeah, but you're right. It guarantees attention. Like if you and I have a meeting, I say, Rory, we got to have a serious conversation here. And I plop down a gun. We're going to have a serious conversation. The thing is, though, you're going to punch me in the nose the second you get a chance and take that gun away from me. So it causes conflict. The ignorable is a real risk, like if we don't see it. But once we get the attention of the prospect, if it's not a threat they will then say, is there an opportunity? And an opportunity is there's something that delivers value to me.
By the way, is the A, is this attention? Is that the D is differentiation? Is this?
Yeah. And then the next one's called attraction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So differentiate is stage one, and it gets to the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex says, is this a threat? Run. Is it an opportunity? Consider. Or is it ignorable? And then it qualifies it, or it puts in a catalog to ignore in the future. If you get the opportunity at the differentiate level, you get forwarded on to the next step, which is attraction. Once I say, hey, Rory, I have someone that you got to meet. Whatever, I get your attention. So I got someone you got to meet. Now I've positioned yourself for attraction. Attraction is where we go through the qualification process. Like, well, tell me about this person and why is this an opportunity? Our mind is now going into incremental segments of, should I continue this conversation? Is there continuing value to me? And yes, it plays out at multiple levels. We have a rapport. If I say someone you should meet and that person's of no value to you, since we have rapport, you may want to maintain that so we can maintain rapport. But the primary level is, are you going to derive direct benefit? And when I'm marketing, I have to show that very quickly. A direct benefit could be solving a problem. It could be entertaining you in some capacity. It could be arming you for the future, education. It could be just a curiosity factor where you keep people engaged in something as they learn more, as you kind of drip it out. The key to attraction is it happens in these millisecond increments also. So we're looking to constantly stay engaged or dump out. And so our job during the attraction phase of our marketing is to keep people engaged. The thing is, the longer you try to maintain attraction, the less compelling it is to stay. And therefore people over time, if it's not building a compelling argument, people are going to drop out. So be concise and grow the compelling nature of it. So if it's going to be long, make sure that keeps on building more and more interest engagement, not waning, but growing. And then the final phase of effective marketing is the direct phase. So we differentiate to get attention, attract for engagement, and then direct to compel the audience to take a specific action. And as your friend, our mutual friend, Don Miller says, if you confuse, you lose. And most people just kind of leave their clients or prospects in ambiguity. It's like, what do I do? I guess nothing. And they fade away. So here's where we give them a specific action to take. But the key for this is it needs to be reasonable. So say you're in the market for a car and I'm the sales guy and you come in and I'm like, hey, Rory, nice to meet you. Give me $100,000 now. I'll start searching for your dream car, and wherever the difference is, I'll refund it to you. You'd be like, no. But what could happen is if you come to the showroom and I say, hey, Rory, would you be willing to give me your cell number? I will then text you pictures of the cars in our inventory as we discover the cars to see if they match up with what you want. And we find one, then we can take the next step together. That may be a much more reasonable action, and I have permission to market to you. So the direct stage, for me, the person trying to do the sale, I want to move you or matriculate you as fast as I can toward the ultimate transaction, buy the car. And I need to balance it with you feeling safe at every step of the way. So that's the three elements, Dad.
I love that. You said that last line is, you said, I want to move you as fast as I can towards the transaction, but I need to be able to balance that. You said an interesting phrase. You said, with you feeling safe.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Yeah, because threat is the trigger for avoidance or conflict. And so you'll see every step of this, if threat presents itself, transaction's over. So if I differentiate because I walk into the room with a gun, you'll notice, but the transaction's over. It's about survival. During the attract phase, I am putting threatening messages out there. If you don't do this, I'm going to destroy you. Now I'm in a combative situation. At the very end, as I'm trying to direct you to take action, the second you feel threat, you're out. We're like any other herd animal. The second that the antelope sniffs a hunter, it's bolting. So I need to make sure that I'm moving you in reasonable steps. It's kind of like the Goldilocks porridge. It needs to be just right. That you feel safe and comfortable taking that next step together, that there's trust building in these different interim transactions before the ultimate transaction. But also I need to do as quickly as possible. If I move so slowly, we may never get to the transaction. You may be engaged in another marketing campaign or sales campaign that's moving you to a transaction much faster, and I lose out. So I want to move you expeditiously to get to the transaction, but also reasonably so that you maintain a comfort level throughout.
I love it, y'all. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are so sharp and concise and understanding. What I love about what you're doing here, Mike, is this book, Get Different, is connecting the neuroscience of the brain into marketing strategy and the fundamentals of marketing. So, this has been so powerful. I think there are at least 3 ideas here that are going to stick with me for the long term. Where do you want people to go if they want to get a copy of the book or keep up with you and all the things you're up to?
Yeah, I invite people to go to one place, singular direct, right? Go to gogetdifferent.com. And the reason I invite people to go to that site is if you want to get the book, there's ways to get it through that site, all major retailers and so forth. But more importantly, there's a resource link there that has all these different case studies. So we ran hundreds of companies through this, and we came up with these case studies, some that you can apply immediately in your own business, out of the box marketing that is different, attractive, and gets results. And case studies where you can just see how another company went through an experience of implementing a campaign like this. So it's gogetdifferent.com.
We will put links to that, gogetdifferent.com. I like the dad method. I like the dad model because I'm dadding. That's the stage of my life.
Yeah, you're a dad. Yeah. So we
asked,
actually have a saying at the end, any marketing you look at, simply ask yourself, does dad approve? Which in certain contexts is a little bit creepy when you're older, but if dad doesn't approve, we ain't doing it.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, thanks for sharing your time and your wisdom and your insights. So sharp. I know we'll see you again soon, and we wish you the best.
Thank you, brother.